I'm Julie Gilbert, and I am the Guest Services Volunteer Coordinator at the Samaritan Center, which is a soup kitchen in Syracuse, New York. I got here through a program called the Jesuit Volunteer Corps. It's a program in which it's actually one of the oldest volunteer programs in the country, and we started about 50 years ago, and they're young people, usually with degrees that graduated from college. And they put a year of their life into working for a nonprofit, and they follow 4 values, which is community, spirituality, simple living, and social justice. A volunteer for a year, so I make a year-long commitment to be a volunteer and to live. So the center pays for my housing. They pay $70 a month for me to eat, and they pay $85 for me to do whatever I want with for a month. So I'm living on a very, very limited budget. The Volunteer Corps itself is based on these 4 principles, which are social justice, concentrating on understanding the social systems that are in place that keep people in poverty, trying to figure out ways to alleviate those social systems. Spirituality, just kind of understanding where you are on your spiritual journey and how that applies to the poverty that oftentimes you're working with. There's simple living. We are committed to living a simple lifestyle. We earn $85 a month in a personal stipend. The rest of the money goes into the community which we live in, and the last value is community, where we live with other people, doing other social justice, social services kind of work. I live with 6 other people, 3 women and 3 men. Most of them are college graduates or recent college graduates. They work in so many different ways. My roommates work from everywhere from criminal rehabilitation to after-school programs to hospitality houses, and then back again to working with the developmentally disabled, and then I work with the poor and marginalized and the hungry down here in the Samaritan Center. I think that I hope to understand a little bit more about the diversity of our country, how many people have very different stories in this world. I just hope to get to know them as people, understand where they're coming from a little bit better. When someone walks through our line to get a meal, some of these people won't have anyone else but our volunteers and our staff look them in the eye all day long. Like, they won't have someone treat them with respect, ask them how they're doing, really care about what's going on in their lives. So people really do care, but I think that it's important that people realize that every person that you come across has a different story and has something different going on in their lives, and just greeting them like a human being makes all the difference. And I think in a small way, sitting and listening to their stories is a way for me to understand that no, not everyone can live, you know, in a house and have a car and get that college degree. And I think that it's really incredible how diverse American life is, and but how little it takes to overcome that gap. Like, how all it takes is sitting down and talking to someone while they're eating a meal, and it means the world to many people to have someone that cares enough to step over those social class bounds that we kind of rigorously hold on to sometimes. I think that it's like a slow evolution where I learn a little bit more every day. You learn to challenge assumptions that you didn't think you had, or you don't want to admit that you have, about people. You know, people with mental, we do have a lot of guests with substance abuse issues and mental illness, but we also have guests that have higher degrees than our executive director, and that are really just struggling. They don't have addictions, they don't have these things. There's not always a why to poverty. And I think that that's something I've learned a lot. It's a very hard lesson to learn. I think that a lot of times people have to justify poverty in a way. Like, they have to say, well, this person, you know, is on drugs, or this person has a mental illness. And in reality, there's very little that separates people that are living in poverty and people that are not. And I think that has been reinforced over and over and over again. That, you know, one turn of the coin, and you're on the other side of the line. I think it's hard to say that there's one story that impacted me the most. I think there's one person that strikes me the most when I think about it, and it's one of our guests, Jay. He's just such a character, and he's so giving. I think that that's something that strikes me, is that like he literally has given up. Like if he'll come across something and he doesn't need it, he'll bring it here and tell us to find someone else who needs it. This is a man who has nothing, like nothing, and there's so much that he keeps giving. But yesterday, Jay came down. And we were talking about birds, because like we have guests that always take the bread that we give, and instead of eating it themselves, they go and they give it, they like rip it up and they give it to the pigeons that hang out outside, which the pigeons love. And we were talking about it, and I said something about being afraid because there's all these little tiny sparrows, and I'm like, it's so cold out, like what are the little tiny sparrows doing to Jesus? Well, in the Bible it says not to worry. And you know, the birds don't have to worry because they know we'll come out and share our bread, but we don't have to worry because we have this Samaritan Center. And it's just like little moments like that just break your heart with joy and gratitude, and I don't know, it's really incredible. It's something that it's with you. It's not giving up 1 year of your life and you can walk away from it. It becomes your life, like caring for these people, understanding where they've been, who they are. It changes your whole life. I can't see myself ever forgetting the faces of the people that I've encountered down here. And I think that, you know, volunteerism isn't something that you can go for an hour and do. It's something that like just seeps into every part of your being, so that when you walk down the street, you can look someone in the eye that's sitting on a curb begging for money, and you can talk to them. You can interact with your children that way. You can, you know, raise your children that like with these values. It has to permeate every aspect of your life. That idea of solidarity, the idea of living with other people, with respecting other people, with genuinely caring about who they are and where they're going with their lives. So in a way, I hope that with what I learn here, it just becomes who I am.